Artificial intelligence is growing faster than a bad fungus infection in the series The Last of Us. Maybe we're secure for now, but the more people use AI such as ChatGPT to solve their everyday solutions, the less solving problem skills they will retain. Humanity will slowly be zombified by our need for convenience, like a rat addicted to cocaine pressing its crack button faster than Def Leppard. Some cartoons like The Simpsons seem eerily good at predicting the future. In this case, it was the CG movie WALL-E, showcasing the zombie slobs we're bound to become if we don't stop becoming dependent on AI systems. But here's the catch-22. The ones who do not care to know how to specialize, but rather organize the data that AI can generate on its own, will be the true winners in this era. The entrepreneurs and hustlers will prevail in an era that will require mass adaptation from humanity. In other words, the incentives is to depend on AI and not to specialize in a task that AI was going to kick your ass in the near future. The speed to which AI was able to supersede humanity with games like Go, which have more possible moves than actual particles in the universe, kind of shocked a lot of the AI can become intelligent skeptics. Not too long after AlphaGo beat the champion Go player Lee Sedol, which is basically the equivalency of R2-D2 beating Yoda, we now have Midjourney version 5 basically putting artists out of work faster than a Donald Trump intern on the show Apprentice.
You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired.
Don't believe me? Okay. Well, I prompted the AI to make a few images on Midjourney. So if you don't believe me, tell me which of these images are real and which are fake. So sorry, that was a bit of a trick question because they're all AI. Now this channel has had its run of low view videos, but in 2017 we finally had a viral video with 1.8 million views on our other channel talking about the dangers of AI. What I can't agree on is that if the advancement of artificial intelligence continues to defy the standard models and predictions, well, it seems that machines will actually be challenging your very existentialistic nature in a blink of an eye. So, buckle your seatbelts because Elon Musk, he's not the only smart guy warning us about the dangers of this. I swear, when I made that video, I felt like I had stepped on some sacred pyramid I was not allowed to touch, only to be whipped by the native locals afterwards. But what I had claimed, that AGI will come about much sooner than most people think, seems to actually be on track. Many researchers are not too worried because they say that AI is just a set of probabilistic nodes, an incredible pattern detection machine, but whose pattern is purely mathematical and not holistic like how humans see the world. Now here's where the question gets a little philosophical. The problem with being able to assess the dangers of AI is that we don't really have a consensus as to what exactly consciousness is. I mean, we can't even predict which jobs are going to go away first, because art was the last job that many had predicted AI would overtake, but somehow it became the first. Could a similar fallacy be at play with consciousness, that we keep thinking that it's going to be the last obstacle for AI, but somehow it ends up slipping under our radar? Now, coming from a psychology background, I can say that for decades, scientists have underestimated animal intelligence and continue to do so. Now, what is wrong with their assumptions that allows this to happen? And could they be making similar fallacies in their assessment of how intelligence is propagated in other systems? This example might seem controversial to some, but one of the most respected mycologists, aka fungi expert, Paul Stamets, believes that honey mushrooms might have a form of rudimentary intelligence. I kid you not. Though still not well understood, the honey fungi is the largest and oldest living organism in the world. You see, what appears to be a single mushroom in the surface is actually a collection of mushrooms attached to a much larger organism beneath the earth that is hundreds of football fields in total area, and in one case, over 1,600 football fields. Now, here's a clip of Paul Stamets talking about precisely this.
Like you were talking about just the idea of nature and intelligence and these words that we have these concrete definitions in our head that don't really apply to some things that are very, very confusing to us, like the idea of fungal intelligence, the idea that you could somehow or another understand the language that these things, we don't even understand dolphin language, right?
Well, one classic example, Japanese are so clever at this. There's a slime mold, called Physarum polycephalum. And they had and this slime mold is very, very good at navigating through mazes and challenges. I mean, first to food wins. The conservation of energy, is rewarded. So
how do they set this up?
They designed basically a nutrient-like maze replicating Tokyo in the Japanese subway system. They started with Tokyo and they put oats, which is a nutritional source. They inoculated what is on this basically an agar map with all the major cities, the nodes around Tokyo, and then they let the slime mold then grow. And first it grew out randomly, exploratorily, just like you would do if you're a hunter or something, you're hunting on the landscape looking for things. And then after about 28 hours, it reorganized itself in the most efficient way possible and reorganized the Japanese subway system in a more efficient manner than it's designed today. Thus, they said, not me, not Paul Stamets, this is a demonstration of cellular intelligence.
Whoa.
So my point is, if it's true that this fungi is able to utilize a basic form of intelligence, then what constitutes consciousness may not be the physical medium to which information is disseminated, rather the neuron-like patterns regardless of the medium. I mean, let's think about it. Isn't that how evolution started, with basically meaningless patterns cultivating themselves in a self-replicating process? Now, a fact that I rarely hear discussed is the idea that at one point Earth was just molten lava, and in time it became just rocks and water. But if you really think about it, the only difference between rocks and water and humanity is really just time. Now, isn't that weird to ponder about? It makes me wonder if such processes necessitate some intelligence embedded in how the laws of physics interact, a more primordial form of DNA that controls the actual laws of physics and the way that they dance with one another in such a manner as to sprout ever more complicated self-sustaining systems. Could this be the reason why the megastructures of the universe look like our brain? Now, to close off this episode, I would like to showcase a genius AI researcher who looks like the hypothetical child of Dr. Occam from Independence Day and John Lennon. Ben Gortzo is an interesting man, not only because of his absolute genius and the fact that he is the lead scientist for Handsome Robotics, the company responsible for Sophia, but it's also because of his philosophy on consciousness. His ideas seem to be near opposite to what most materialistic AI researchers believe.
I've talked about consciousness and subjective experience with AI programmers and AI scientists. Most of them are fairly materialist in their outlook. Most of them feel strongly that human consciousness comes about as a consequence of certain complex structures in the human brain. That's one respected philosophy of consciousness. It isn't mine. So when I'm around AI people discussing consciousness, I'm almost always the outlier. In the view that I take, consciousness, awareness is the ground. That's the base out of which everything is formed. And then different structures manifest consciousness in different ways. So a human brain manifests universal consciousness in one way, and this coin manifests universal consciousness in a different way. So from that point of view, the question isn't which systems are conscious. The question is what kind of consciousness each system demonstrates, how it manifests universal consciousness. That's a very eccentric view for an AI scientist, and I'm usually in the minority of one when you're around AI people. On the other hand, if you're around Buddhists, or people from other analogous spiritual traditions, they just take this for granted. Their attitude is, yeah, of course, it's obvious. Awareness is the ground out of which everything springs. Panpsychism is second nature to them. I read some interviews between the Dalai Lama and a number of scientists, and some of them asked him about artificial intelligence and consciousness. Can machines ever truly think? Can they truly feel and understand? Can they be self-aware? But he said in a sort of tongue-in-cheek way that perhaps one day when programmers die, though, they will be reincarnated in artificial intelligence programs.
Nobody knows what consciousness truly is, but depending on which philosophy turns out to be true regarding the origins of consciousness, it's possible robots could be conscious much faster than we previously thought. Thank you so much for joining me. This is our new channel, Strange Horizon. We only have about 400 subscribers. So if you believe in this channel and you want to be one of the first to help this channel become what I hope one day it can become, please subscribe and share this to your family, friends, anybody who you think might enjoy this discussion. This is Felipe speaking, signing out.